Howdy y'all, Caleb here. It's Battlescroll Day, which comes with some excitement and also some trepidation of what have they killed in my list. So, we're going to look through that, talk about what they've done to Seraphon. As usual, or as usual lately, Coalesced seems to pay the price for the sins of Starborne. So here's our point changes. We'll look at those first. And these point changes hurt Starborne pretty bad. I'm not going to lie. Your Starborne lists are going to go up about 100 points, depending on how you're loaded out. But also your Coalesced list, if you're using any of these, it's going to go up in points too. Even though these things aren't overpowered in Coalesced, we still got to pay the same price for them as Starborne. So looking at the first one, Lord Krog, he goes up 30 points, up to 440. On its own, not bad. That's okay. We can absorb that, but all these other are going to stack with it. Ripperdactyl Chief goes down 10 points, and you can see down towards the bottom, all the Ripperdactyl Riders, Pterodon Chief, and Pterodon Riders all go down 10 points. That makes him extremely cheap. I do like Ripperdactyls in Seraphon, and this makes me like them a little bit more. They do have a lot of attacks. They can take buffs decently well. They are very fragile, as is most things in Starborne, but it's a fast unit. It's really cheap now, 100 points, so I like those. If you're already using them, you're probably going to keep using them. That 10 points isn't going to make a difference. If you weren't using them before, this probably is going to push you into building some kind of crazy Ripperdactyl list, but we'll always take those reductions, and this comes out to be one of our cheapest units now, other than skinks and some bola hunters. The next increase, though, is the Astrolith Bear. Goes up 20 points, a whopping 20 points. So that puts it on par with the Scar Veteran on Agrodon. In my Coalesced list, I was pretty much always defaulting to the Astrolith Bear because of the added bonuses he gives. The ward, he can do Vengeful Defender just the same as the Scar Veteran on Agrodon. But now that they're the same points, it's going to cause a little bit more of a think for me. I'm going to have to decide, put some more thought into which one I would rather default into my Agrodon heavy list. It might end up being the Scar Veteran on Agrodon. Unfortunately, they didn't fix his ability in any of our stuff, so it's still only once per battle, which is ridiculous. But at least him and the Astrolith are the same points now, so that is a topic for conversation. I noticed the Source Old Blood on foot is not reduced at all. Why not? He's 130 and he does almost nothing. Can we please get him down to 100 points? Please. The Source Old Blood on Carnosaur, though, does get a drop to 240, which I really like. Getting under 250 is actually pretty important for Thunderlizard builds. So having him at 240 is nice. Now you can slot in quite a few monsters into a Thunderlizard list. Source Old Blood on Carnosaur is a good utility piece anyway, and so 240 is a good price for him. Scar Veteran on Carnosaur is somehow still the same price as the Old Blood. I would almost never take the Scar Veteran on Carnosaur unless you're going to be playing 5 games versus Giants or something. So he's good. He's okay versus a monster. But other than that, the Old Blood is superior in just about every aspect. So odd that it's the same price. A Skink Starseer goes up 10. That's pretty expected. He's a very good piece. I'm still willing to pay 160 for the Starseer. 2 cast spell, can shut off wards, has the 5-up ward ability to pass out. A very, very good piece. So Starseer still makes it into just about every Starborne and Coalesced list. Slann Starmaster goes up 20 points to 310. I think this hurts Coalesced the most, to be honest. Because he needs to be way cheaper to play in Coalesced. Because he's just a buffing piece there. He does almost nothing else. Almost no damage from him. The spells are purely buffs. And at that, it's not really that good of buffs. So the Slann Starmaster being that expensive at 310 is really just to hurt Starborne, but it hurts Coalesced more. So that's sad to see. I don't think you'll see Slans in Coalesced very often. Stegodon's going down 20 points. That's awesome. 240. I liked him at 260. 240 is a great price point for it. As I said with the Old Bloods, I think once you get them under 250, you open up some possibilities to really have some fun with Thunderlizard. Maybe it's still not a great faction, but now you're able to fit more monsters in cleaner, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Because you can easily take 4 Old Bloods and 4 Stegodons for under 2,000 points. That's cool. Well, I have some lists here at the end just to take a look at what that actually looks like. Stegodon Chief went down to 280, minus 20. Nah. Has anybody run a Stegodon Chief in this edition? It's just not very good. It lost all the buffs we had in the previous Battle Tome, and it actually went up in points. Luckily, it's been coming down, but to be honest, it would have to be cheaper than the Stegodon for me to take this. It would definitely have to be cheaper than the Old Blood on Carnosaur, because I would rather take the Old Blood on Carnosaur. It synergizes with all the other Stegodons better than the Stegodon Chief does. So, 280 is just still too expensive. Oh, and hilariously, where is the Engine of the Gods? The Engine of the Gods makes no appearance here for points. It also has no rule fixes. So, the Engine of the Gods is fine? All right. Maybe I'm getting too salty. All right, Pterodons, Ripperdactyls, Pterodons all down. That's good. So, in general, Starborne's going up, and the monsters are coming down. Really nothing else in here is going to... I mean, Coalesced is going up. You know, if you're taking Croak and Coalesced, which you might, or Astrolith in Coalesced, which you do a whole lot. Starseer, you do in Coalesced. So your Coalesced list is getting more expensive. It's offset a little bit if you have like 1 Stegodon or 1 Old Blood so that you can kind of make it a wash, but yeah, that stinks. All right, so on to some of the rule changes for Starborne, and this is one that we kind of figured they might change because it makes sense. But the Starborne command trait, Lord of Celestial Residence, they're changing it to the first time in each phase if this general either successfully casts a spell that is not unbound, successfully unbinds a spell, or successfully dispels an endless spell, you receive 2 cosmic power points instead of 1. So the change on that is instead of every time you do it, it's only the first time. That really hurts the cosmic power point output. So normally you can kit out your list so that the Slan is casting 4 spells a turn and getting 8 cosmic power points. Now you're probably not going to kit that out. You're probably not going to take cogs for this trick. It's just not worth it. And so you're casting 3 spells. One of them gets double. The other 2 are normal. So it's not really worth it, to be honest. So what is that? 1 extra cosmic power point? So you're probably not going to take this command trait anymore. That's bad. That hurts our cosmic power points, but it does open us up to some other options. So I think we are opened up to some of the other command traits. This was basically always the default take. This is what you had to take in Starborne. So maybe that opens us up to some other things. Maybe this opens us up to Arcane Might so we can get extra range out of that spell. You can control more spells if you wanted to. Maybe... You probably don't take Higher State of Conscience, but Vast Intellect is still good. General knows 2 spells from the Lore of Celestial Domination, so now you don't have to take a spell enhancement, maybe. You probably still want a spell enhancement, so all your wizards get extra spells, but this allows you to get both Comet's Call and the Serpent Tide, whatever it's called, Hit in the Horde spell. I can't think of it off the top of my head right now. So you're going to have some more flexibility on your spell casting there. So that's nice. I think also we might, in this edition, we'd probably just flex into Shaman of the Chilled Lands. I mean, everybody's taken that on their wizards anyway. It's good on the Slan because now you got Hoarfrost and Merciless Blizzard at your disposal, and you can also take your own lore spell, so you can also take Comet's Call, so you have that anyway. So probably Shaman of the Chilled Lands is what you pivot into. This does allow me to do Eater of Magic, which I like running. It's fun. It's not the competitive option, but it is a lot of fun where you can make people forget their spells on a 5-up if you unbind it, which is very good for a Salon, but we just would never take that because of Celestial Resonance before. So I think this does hurt our Starborne lists quite a bit, but it opens us up to a little bit more flexibility with our list building. I don't think Lord of Celestial Resonance is the default choice anymore. In fact, you probably... Do you take it? Okay, so you get 1 extra Cosmic Power Point in your turn. And then in the opponent's turn, if you dispel an endless spell or unbind something, then you would get 1 there. So it's worth an extra 10 over the course of the battle. But it's not really going to swing 1 turn. I don't know. I don't think I'd take it. I think I would work on the other stuff listed here. So with those changes to our Starborne list, here's the list from my How to Play Starborne video, and you can see the point increases here listed with these units. In total, we're going up about 120 points. Aethervoid Pendulum went up 10. That was one of the endless spells that changed. Maelstrom I have plus 20 here because it did go up since that video came out. Not in this FAQ, but after that video had come out. So that typical list is up about 120 points. So I think what you probably do is you drop Cogs, because that's not going to net you as many Cosmic Power Points anymore. And that gives you 50. You've still got to drop something else. You're probably going to have to drop a Wizard, to be honest. Probably the extra Starseer or maybe the Star Priest. So you're probably going to have to drop one of those Wizards to make enough room for the price increases. It's unfortunate. If we look at the Cosmic Power Point output, this is kind of what we had worked out in that How to Play Starborne video. And if we cut a Wizard, we're getting fewer points at the start of the hero phase. In our hero phase, we're basically halving the output from Slon if we don't do Cogs and we don't get 2 for every spell he casts. Even if we're still taking Lord of Celestial Resonance, we're going to end up with about 19 possible Cosmic Power Points instead of 25. So it's a fairly big decrease. You're talking like 20% decrease on your Cosmic Power Points every turn. So that'll make a big difference in the game. And that is only a possible 19, so you might fail some of those. If we look at our list of what we can spend those on, that makes getting up to 15 for Cleanse the Realm, which is my favorite thing to use my Cosmic Power Points on, a little bit more difficult to get to. You're only going to be... You only have a buffer of about 3 to 4 Cosmic Power Points that if you fail, then you won't reach it. It also allows us to not summon quite as much stuff off that chart. So I would like to see this chart adjusted. Who's going to spend 30 points on an Engine of the Gods? That's ridiculous. So that is going to make it a little bit more difficult for Starborne. So I think overall we're going to see Starborne hurt quite a bit by these points. But that's not all that's going to hurt Starborne. They updated this core battalion, and it is it's going to be brutal for Starborne. If this battalion gets into regular play, it's going to hurt a lot. So, Wizard Finders of Antor, Magic Hunters. Add the following paragraph to the beginning of this ability. Each time a unit in this battalion is affected by a spell cast by an enemy unit or the abilities of an endless spell summoned by an enemy unit, you roll a dice. On a 5-up, ignore the effect of that spell or the effects of that endless spell's ability on this unit. Okay, so what was the hard counter to Starborne before this? The hard counter to Starborne was like Null Myriad, which had a spell ignore. Things like dragons or corn. You had these things that could ignore our spells or hard counter those spells, was what really took us down. Now they're giving everyone the ability to give up to 4 units of 5-up spell ignore. So it is capped at certain things. So a hero with under 10 wounds, troops, which are 4 or less wound units. So you have 2 of those, and then a monster that's not a hero. So imagine a Astrolith with 2 units of warriors and a Stegodon. If I can push those up towards you in Coalesced, I'm going to have a 5-up ward on all of those, 5-up spell ignore on all of those things to your spell casting. That's pretty good. I'm definitely going to be taking this in Coalesced, because if I'm taking Warriors, that just makes the Warriors even tougher. So I really like this for Coalesced, but for Starborne, this is painful. If this becomes really popular, then it's going to be even harder to avoid those armies that just ignore our spells. Now, sure, it's only a third of our spells that it's going to ignore, but that's just that all of our damage comes from spells in Starborne. So that's another one that's going to hurt. So luckily, not Petrifex Elite, Null Myriad and OBR went up to a 4-up, so that makes that matchup slightly easier. Still a tough one. But this right here being available to everybody, that's going to hurt Starborne. Let's see. This battle tactic, they added this new battle tactic, which you will never get in Starborne because you're always going to have wizards. You're probably never going to have an opportunity for this in Coalesce because you have wizards. But if you wanted to kit out for this, you could, because this is a super easy battle tactic. Drain their power. You complete this battle tactic at the end of your turn if a friendly hero with a Nullstone Adornment is contesting an objective that was controlled by your opponent at the start of your turn. So, if you don't have a wizard in your army, you can take a Nullstone Adornment. You put that, it's an enhancement. You put that on a hero. All he has to do is contest an objective that was controlled by your opponent at the start of the turn. So that should be very easy, almost automatic to achieve this one in the game. So if you wanted to, if you were just, let's say you had no heroes in your Coalesced army maybe, or no heroes, no wizards, you could plan for this one. You could take a Nullstone Adornment, just run that guy onto an objective. That's a free battle tactic that you're going to get. So I like that, as long as you kit out for it specifically. Some Coalesced buffs that did happen was Kroxigor got a wound characteristic from 4 to 5. I like that. That's good. We've got Kroxigor. Man, you know what? It's good. Don't get me wrong. Okay, so it's going up to 5 wounds. That means they count as 2 on objectives. They can't go into now that Wizard Finder battalion, so they can't get the spell ignore, which would have been nice. So there is a little bit of a downside. They don't count as troops now because they have the more than 4 wounds. But I'll take that for the extra wound on them. That's not really going to make the unit a whole lot tougher. You're talking 1 unit, that's going to be an extra 3 wounds. Okay. But if you are playing a Kroxigor heavy list, I don't know who's doing that, but it would be a lot of fun. This definitely helps you out some there. I would have liked to seen some other buffs for Coalesce, but that was about it. This one right here is actually a nerf for Coalesced. So Coalesced taking another hit. Vengeful Defender. Before rules is written, we could Vengeful Defender move a unit in the hero phase more than once. So just because of the cheeky wording in there and some previous designers' commentary that they had, we were allowed to do that. So that was in, I think we did a video a month or 2 ago about that, maybe a month ago. That's now gone. So the question was, each time an ability is used, if the effect allows multiple units to be picked, for example, a rule states pick up to 3 friendly units, can the same unit be picked more than once? No. And I thought this was funny. The previous designer's commentary that stated otherwise has been removed. So they noticed it, they cleaned it up, and now it's gone. That's probably what they intended for Vengeful Defender to be, but we were kind of playing cheeky with it and having some fun. So that's fine. What this does hurt is like Kroxigor. You know, you're not gonna be able to shoot Kroxigor all the way across the map. Warriors, you're not gonna be able to shoot them all the way across the map. You'll have to kind of layer on Heavenly Frenzy along with Vengeful Defender to get them where you need to go. So Agrodons, they're still fast enough. They should be able to get there with just 1 move in the hero phase and then their normal move. So, but technically a little bit of a nerf for Coalesced. This one, okay, luckily, this one, I checked in the app, and they have updated the app, and this one's fixed. But they said that the Jaws ability on Source stuff, and like Kroxigor and things, happened after everybody removed models. It was like, what? Previously, you said it was before. Like, that was an FAQ before. Luckily, in the app, they updated the app, and it still says before, so I think this is just a mistake on their PDF that they updated. But how did this mistake get... Did somebody go in and change this on the FAQ? It wasn't even in magenta. They just changed it. So strange. I wanted to note that there is an email address that Warhammer tweeted out that says, here's how you contact us. Let us know what you need changed. So let them know that they made a mistake in the PDF about the Jaws, and let them know that the Engine of the Gods needs to be fixed. Maybe we need to come up with a list of things that we need GW to fix for whenever the next battle tome is. Check the comments. Maybe I'll put my personal list. We can all email it in. All right, this one is, I like this change. Wards. This ability says some abilities allow you to roll a dice to negate a wound or mortal wound, or to allocate a wound or mortal wound to a unit other than the original target. Abilities of this type are referred to as wards, and the dice roll is referred to as a ward roll. So basically, anytime you have like a bodyguard, that is counted as a ward. So the important thing about this is that our Celestial Doom from our Starseer, that spell is already fantastic. I think now it's even better. So Celestial Doom is a spell that has a casting value of 7 and a range of 12. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within range invisible to caster until the end of that turn. Ward rolls cannot be made for models in that unit. Ooh, that means not only are we shutting off their wards, now we're also shutting off their bodyguard ability. So they can't pass this wound off to anybody else. So that's good. That's just a buff there for the Starseer spell. I like that. It does hurt, the Slann and the Lord Croak. Anybody who's going to be passing off wards to the Source Guard. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you could even have a ward roll on the Source Guard because of like the Astrolith, even after you pass them off anyway. So maybe this was just some cleanup of stuff, but it does specify that these, allocating a wound to another unit is now considered a ward. So we shut that off, which is pretty cool. I like that. All right, so I think that's about it for our battle scroll. I did want to... There is one, spot of positivity. We've got some points reductions on the monsters, the Old Blood, and the Stegodons. So what can I do with that? I'm thinking, is Thunderlizard alive and well? How about this Thunderlizard list? We've got a Source Old Blood on Carnosaur. I'm taking, since it's in Thunderlizard, Vengeful Defender doesn't really matter. But I'm taking Thickly Scaled Hide as my command trait to give him +1 to save. I'm taking Blade of Reality, so it gets +1 rend on the spear, and +1 damage versus heroes. So I just like that loadout for the Carnosaur. You can change your artifact around if you needed to. You could do, I think you can do a Nullstone Adornment on the Carnosaur, right? So maybe you could do that, and that way you get the free battle tactic. So that would be a good one. But here you've got your general Carnosaur and 3 extra Old Bloods on Carnosaurs. That's awesome. And then you've got 4 Stegodons. And before this points decrease, this wouldn't have worked. You would have been overpriced. But here we go. We're at 1920. So you could throw in some Bola Hunters if you wanted to, or make one of the Carnosaurs a wizard and throw in an endless spell or something. So you got a little bit of play there. But it's very easy to get 8 monsters in a Thunderlizard list now, and monsters that are fun to use. So I like that. Switch out 2 of those Carnosaurs with some Snakes Bastillodons, and that gains you another 120 points. You'd have 200 points left over. You could take in, some Skinks' Screens or something. I don't know. Another variation, if you want to take out 2 Carnosaurs and put in 2 Troglodons, maybe that makes things a little bit tougher. You've got some wizards now. You've got some spells to make things run in charge. You've got a healing spell. And now you can kind of run this in 2 clear groups, and they're both going to be at -1 to hit. So That's comes in at 1980 now. So I kind of like that too. So maybe there's a little bit of play for Thunderlizard. Maybe you could take him and go 3-2 at a tournament. Maybe. I don't know. This stuff still dies pretty fast. Everything's at a 4-up save. All right. So that's it for the Battlescroll. I'm sorry, Starborne. I'm sorry, Coalesced. Thunderlizard got a little bit better, I guess, but we'll see how much that makes it, how much that affects us. So, all right, guys, we'll see y'all next time.